Hey everyone, welcome back to Coins Numismatic Series, the channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of coins, the stories they hold, the history they represent, and the secrets they hide in plain sight. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, because today, we're going to explore a coin that most people overlook, yet it has an incredible story. The 1970 Roosevelt Dime. Yep, that small 10-cent piece sitting quietly in your change could be worth more than you think, especially if you know what to look for. The 1970 Roosevelt Dime, at first glance, it might seem like just another common coin from your pocket. But trust me, once you understand the background of this coin, you'll never look at a dime the same way again. First off, let's talk about why this little coin even exists in the first place. The Roosevelt Dime series started back in 1946, right after the passing of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. He wasn't just any president. Roosevelt was deeply admired for leading the country through the Great Depression and World War II. But what's lesser known is his personal connection to the March of Dimes campaign, which raised money to combat polio. So when he passed away, the dime was chosen to honor him, a fitting tribute to a man whose leadership and compassion literally changed millions of lives. Fast forward to 1970. It's a time of change in the U.S. The Vietnam War is still raging, the economy is shifting, and the U.S. Mint is deep into the copper-nickel coinage era. Gone are the days of silver dimes, which ended in 1964. But that doesn't mean collectors stop caring. In fact, by 1970, coin collecting is booming. People are checking their change, hoping to find mint errors or silver stragglers. And that's where the 1970 Roosevelt Dime fits in, because while it might look ordinary, certain details can make it quite special. Now, the first thing to know is that the 1970 dime was struck in three main places: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, with a D mint mark; and San Francisco, with an S mint mark. Each mint had its own quirks that year. The Philadelphia dimes were churned out in massive numbers, over 500 million, to be exact. The Denver mint produced over 750 million. But San Francisco, they mostly made proof coins, special coins with mirror-like surfaces for collectors. Those are the ones to really watch out for, especially the 1970 S-proof dimes. But for today, let's focus on the regular, circulating dimes, particularly those in fine condition. A fine condition 1970 dime isn't mint state or proof, it's circulated, but still holds clear details. You can see Roosevelt's profile distinctly. The word Liberty is readable, and the date is sharp. There might be somewhere on the cheek and hair, and the torch on the reverse might show smoothing, but overall, it's still a strong, collectible piece. In this condition, the coin tells a story. It's lived, it's traveled, and it's a piece of America that's passed through countless hands over the last 50 years. Now, you might ask, why should I care about a dime from 1970 if it's not silver? That's a fair question. The thing is, coins like these are part of numismatic history not because of their metal content, but because of their production details and hidden varieties. The 1970 Roosevelt Dime has several interesting traits that collectors love to hunt for. For example, there's the 1970 No S proof dime, one of the most famous modern rarities. The No S means the mint mark is missing. It was struck from a die intended for proof coins, but somehow the mint mark never got punched in. Those coins escaped into proof sets accidentally, and today, they're worth thousands of dollars. Now, of course, that's not what you'd find in your pocket change, but knowing that connection gives every 1970 dime an extra spark of mystery. Even for circulated coins, the Denver and Philadelphia mint dimes can hold surprises. Some have strong strikes, some have die cracks, and a few even show doubling on the lettering or date, what collectors call a double die. These are tiny variations, often visible only under magnification, but they can make a coin go from worth 10 cents to a few dollars or more, depending on how dramatic the error is. That's why collectors always say, check your change. Let's talk value. In fine condition, a regular 1970 dime is usually worth face value, 10 cents. But that's only if it's totally ordinary. Start spotting interesting details, and the story changes. A clean strike, full torch lines on the reverse, especially from Denver, or a minor mint error can push its value to a few bucks. If you're lucky enough to find a 1970 S-proof in great shape, you're looking at several dollars, sometimes more depending on the market. And if by some miracle you stumble across a No S proof, well, you've just found one of the most sought-after modern dimes ever produced. But value aside, what really makes the 1970 Roosevelt Dime special to collectors like us is the bridge it represents between eras. It sits right in the middle of the post-silver coinage period, a time when America's coins were transitioning to modern materials and designs. The 1970 dime reminds us of how the mint adapted to new economic realities while keeping traditions alive. The Roosevelt portrait, designed by John R. Sinek, had already been in use for nearly 25 years by that point. And yet, it still looked as fresh and dignified as ever. That consistency, that respect for the design, is something collectors really appreciate. When you hold a 1970 dime in fine condition, think about what it's seen. It survived recessions, gas crises, decades of change, pockets, purses, and piggy banks. It's one of those everyday survivors of American life that connects people across generations. I like to imagine that some of these coins have traveled coast to coast, from a grocery store in 1970s California to a vending machine in modern-day New York. There's something poetic about that. If you're starting a collection, the 1970 dime is a great coin to include in your Roosevelt dime set. It's affordable, accessible, and still part of a fascinating numismatic timeline. Plus, finding one in fine condition is a perfect way to train your eye to spot wear, grade surfaces, and learn how to distinguish mint marks. It's these foundational coins that help you become a sharper collector. And here's a tip, always keep an eye on proof sets from 1970. You never know what might be hiding in there. Some collectors have found those legendary, no S, proofs by accident, tucked away in old boxes or inherited collections. That's the kind of discovery that turns a hobby into a lifelong passion. It's like treasure hunting, except your treasure fits right in your hand. To wrap it up, the 1970 Roosevelt dime may not shine with silver, but it sparkles with history. Whether it's from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, whether it's circulated or proof, every single one tells a small part of the story of American coinage. So next time you get a dime in your change, don't dismiss it, flip it over, check that torch, look at the date. You might just find a little piece of numismatic magic hiding in plain sight. Thanks for joining me today on Coins Numismatic Series. If you enjoyed this dive into the 1970 Roosevelt dime, give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment below if you've ever found a cool variety from 1970, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into the stories behind the coins you carry every day. Keep collecting, keep exploring, and as always, happy hunting, my fellow coin enthusiasts.